Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. By viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Thursday, January 27th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. It is trash versus cash in what is now a federal lawsuit over that long and disruptive sanitation strike. The walkout may be over, but now customers are striking back over paying for a service they didn't even receive. Here's KPBS reporter Kitty Alvarado.
When sanitation workers with Republic Services went on strike in December, it dragged on for weeks, and garbage piled up in San Diego and Chula Vista neighborhoods and businesses. While the trash trucks stopped, the billing did not. At least that's what one Republic customer is claiming in a federal class action lawsuit. The attorneys who represent the customer are also seeking to represent other customers who were billed at the regular rate despite lack of services. They're suing for breach of contract.
I'm not surprised at all by that lawsuit.
Chula Vista Council member Jill Galvez has been fighting to get Republic Services to do right by their customers and contract with the city. She says Republic's statements lack goodwill and transparency.
Friday, Republic issued a public statement saying that customers that were affected by the work stoppage should call them directly and individually negotiate a bill credit. That's absolutely ridiculous when we have 52,000 residential customers in Chula Vista alone.
She says customers are being treated unfairly.
Personally, I've seen customers call in and get a full month's bill credit, but now lately I've been seeing $5 bill credits, $10 bill credits. There seems to be no rhyme or reason.
She says on top of that, the trash collection in the city is still inconsistent, and the city has already shelled out thousands to do their work.
We intend to bill Republic around $150,000 for those efforts, but we can't continue supplementing their workforce. Their workforce has gotten back to work, and there's still reports of trash that's not being collected.
The city manager has sent a 4-page letter to Republic asking for a meeting to discuss their failure to live up to their contract.
This is going to be litigious. There's no question about it, unless Republic just steps up and does the right thing.
We reached out to Republic. They declined an interview, stating they don't comment on pending litigation, but confirmed that customers should call them and said accounts will be handled on a case-by-case basis. The meeting between Republic and the city of Chula Vista is scheduled for Monday. Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
California Senator Alex Padilla is calling for a more aggressive push to get school-aged children vaccinated against COVID-19. He was joined in that call today by the California Children's Hospital Association. KPBS education reporter MG Perez has the story.
La vacuna para COVID es segura y efectiva para los niños.
Senator Alex Padilla speaks in Spanish and in English to make sure his message gets through to as many Californians as possible.
Scientists have proven with months of careful research that the COVID-19 vaccine is safe and it is effective for kids. It helps protect against the life-threatening complications of COVID.
Thursday afternoon, Senator Padilla assembled a Zoom room of doctors and administrators representing children's hospitals across California. That included Rady Children's here in San Diego. CEO Dr. Patrick Frias emphasized the point of this press conference push.
We need the kids to get vaccinated and their families to be vaccinated so we can all get out of this and go on to some semblance of normal life.
At Hoover High School, this is VaxBan Thursday. The UC San Diego Health Mobile Unit continues to offer vaccination options to San Diego Unified students, staff, and anyone who wants protection from coronavirus. Rosie Sandoval is a paraeducator at Hoover who came for her Pfizer booster. She works with some students who have severe special needs and are not eligible for vaccines right now.
Communication just amongst the staff when it comes to telling them the same thing, because if everybody's telling them something different, it's going to confuse them. So we try to keep our stories the same. When it just comes, our friends are sick, they'll be back.
San Diego Unified's push for on-campus vaccinations has not let up since it started its collaboration with UC San Diego Health last year. In fact, other healthcare collaborations continue to grow. But so does the number of school-age children statewide who remain unvaccinated. Rady Children's Hospital has seen a 24% increase in COVID-related cases, with most of them unvaccinated. In California, children 17 and under now make up 18% of all COVID cases, with the majority of kids 5 to 12 years old still unprotected without vaccinations.
You want to put up as many barriers as you can to prevent your child from being exposed. But number one, far above and beyond, is get everyone who is eligible around that child vaccinated and boosted.
The message is clear from these medical professionals and the politician who brought them together. MG Perez, KPBS News.
San Diego State University's president announced today the school is on track to return to in-person instruction on February 7th. And she noted nearly 30,000 students, faculty, and staff have submitted their booster records. The California State University system requires a COVID booster on file for everyone who will be on campus this spring. Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer officially announced his retirement today. The liberal stalwart has spent more than 2 decades on the bench, and as Daryl Forges reports, will give President Biden his first opportunity to appoint a justice of his choosing.
Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer announcing his retirement Thursday.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The 83-year-old liberal stalwart's decision to step down, giving President Joe Biden his first opportunity to make a Supreme Court nomination.
I will select a nominee worthy of Justice Breyer's legacy of excellence and decency.
And fulfill a campaign promise to make history.
The person I will nominate will be someone with extraordinary qualifications, character, experience, and integrity. And that person will be the first black woman ever nominated to the United States Supreme Court.
The nomination, now expected to come by the end of February, will be one of the most consequential decisions of Biden's presidency.
Once I select a nominee, I will ask the Senate to move promptly on my choice.
But the confirmation process could be contentious. An evenly split Senate means every Democrat in the chamber will need to back the nominee if no Republicans get on board. With moderate Democratic Senator Joe Manchin signaling possible support for a justice more liberal than he is, there is hope of party unity and even bipartisanship, as previous nominees by Democratic presidents have always received at least some Republican votes.
Then it would be great if we could get some Republicans to be open-minded about it.
Breyer's nearly 3 decades on the court will come to a close at the end of the term in June, but he says he will remain seated until his successor is confirmed. Daryl Forges, KPBS News.
The U.S. Transportation Department is releasing a new strategy to save lives on the roads. It comes as data shows deaths from car crashes has increased dramatically over the last year. About 20,000 people were killed in motor vehicle accidents in the first half of 2021. That is up 18% from the same period in 2020. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg called the number of deaths unacceptable and a national crisis.
The fact that every one of us can think of people lost and speak of it as a sad but universal truth, it is as if we were living through a war. It is as if it were normal.
The Transportation Department is investing billions of dollars to improve roadway safety. Programs and initiatives are aimed at limiting the speed of cars, redesigning roads to better protect bicyclists and pedestrians, and boosting car safety features such as automatic emergency braking. And San Diego has installed bike counters on 2 streets with new protected bike lanes. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says there'll soon be a trove of data.
San Diego hopes protected bike lanes like the ones on 30th Street and North Park will entice more residents to bike instead of drive. The bike counters here were switched on less than a week ago, and they've already logged more than 1,700 trips. Stephen Vance of the San Diego County Bicycle Coalition says that data is debunking the myth that bike lanes are wasteful because no one uses them.
And as we build out the network and build more and more of these really high-quality facilities like that, we are certain that more and more people will start riding, and so we'll be able to measure that progress. And if we aren't seeing the progress, then we'll be able to make course corrections along the way.
The city plans on installing more bike counters along key bike routes, but hasn't settled on specific locations yet. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
Major cell phone carriers are boasting higher speeds thanks in part to the new 5G rollout, but they're also set to phase out 3G networks this year, meaning many older cell phones will become obsolete. Isabel Rosales reports on the gadgets that may soon no longer work.
A 20-year era is coming to an end.
The 3G shutdown is a natural evolution in the technology world.
3G is making way for the much faster 5G network. But tech experts like Tom Camber with the AARP are sharing an urgent warning.
The level of gravity is very high for us.
He says many Americans are not prepared for the wave of 3G devices that will soon lose connectivity. Older cell phones, some car navigation and emergency services, home security systems, and even some medical devices like emergency alert pendants might be useless without taking action. Camber says one group is especially vulnerable.
Older Americans are most at risk from this transition because, first of all, they're the group that tends to hold on to devices a little bit longer.
And I think it happened because
Tino Perez says he has seen firsthand the reluctance to upgrade.
They're more afraid to the technology, especially older people.
He warns those customers could be left in the dark without access to Wi-Fi at home, no more texts or calls.
Obviously, if they're using this type of phones, they're going to be out completely.
Even to 911.
I don't think this is on a lot of people's radar, to be honest with you.
Colonel James Manny, head of state police in Rhode Island, is working to get the message out.
Well, very simply, it's very serious. If you do not upgrade your 3G phone, you'll be unable to connect to 911.
Camber says, don't panic. It's a golden opportunity for some digital hygiene.
The first thing we want them to think about is just, this is a moment to take an hour and just do a check through of what kind of connectivity you have in your house that is mobile based.
If you have a 3G device, consider upgrading now. Or contact your providers for details on next steps. An upgrade doesn't have to break the bank. Cell phones can run under $200.
Don't get upsold on something that's not what you need.
I'm Isabel Rosales reporting.
A milestone today for one of the local organizations that has really stepped up during the pandemic. Feeding San Diego spent the day in Ramona for its 100th large-scale food distribution since the onset of COVID-19. A steady stream of cars were loaded up with essentials, and staff say the demand is still high, especially in the South Bay and the East County.
Ramona is definitely a lot further out there from than on some of the other sites. So getting people to register and let us know so that way we can bring enough food is a little bit tricky sometimes, but we always have a great turnout and we're able to serve a lot of families.
Events like this rely on volunteers who donate their time. If you would like to help, go to feedingsandiego.org to learn how to sign up. A new partnership with Caltrans and San Diego's newest homeless outreach program is working to help unsheltered people living along the state's highways. KPBS reporter Alexandra Rangel has more on the program's progress.
One of the spots that we're going to first is going to be G Street and 17th.
This is the first stop of the day for CityNet, the city's latest homeless outreach team. A handful of people in hard hats carried snack packs and iPads ready to reach out. They made their way through a hole in a fence to get to an encampment that sits on a hillside above Interstate 5 in downtown San Diego.
Hi, CityNet Homeless Outreach. Is anyone home?
Good morning. 6 makeshift tents are pitched here. All are homes belonging to someone. A pair of CityNet staffers visit each tent, hoping someone is home and ready to receive help.
Are you shelter ready? Shelter?
Oh, no. Karen Garner is a case manager with CityNet. She says this is their third time visiting this encampment.
Yeah, we've been here about 3 times. So this area in itself is a little bit shelter resistant, but we try to come in and we just continue to try to work with them. We try to see what we can do.
One homeless man accepted a snack pack but was not ready to go to a shelter. But that's okay. Garner says today's no could be tomorrow's yes. Garner says that's the beauty of their program. They continually engage with individuals living on the street and they build a rapport with them until they finally are willing to accept help.
We find 80 to 85% of the folks are very interested. They're just saying, please help us understand how to work the system, to navigate it. We would love to not be living here on the side of the freeway, and that has been consistent in our experience here as well.
Brad Fieldhouse is the executive director with CityNet. He's helping lead the efforts in San Diego to help unsheltered people living along the state's freeways. It's the first agreement of its kind in the state, and it's part of Governor Gavin Newsom's $22 billion California comeback plan to battle homelessness. Caltrans hopes to eventually clear these dangerous areas where homeless people are camping out. They don't just want to clear people out and put up signs.
Doesn't sound like they're there.
Caltrans meets with CityNet crews daily and escorts them to each encampment. An area is not cleared out until CityNet has had the sufficient time to get people into shelter.
We're here to make sure that these clients know that we value them. We're here to help them in any aspect.
For some encampments, it may take weeks before individuals accept help. Since the team started working in San Diego, they've engaged with more than 460 homeless people. More than 100 have accepted help, which includes case management and connecting with behavioral health services. But only 11 people have been successfully placed in shelters. Garner says it can be disappointing when a person doesn't want to accept help.
You know, they have to be ready to make the change and to get off the streets.
I was homeless when I got him.
Catherine was camping in a canyon along the 805 South. After a decade of living on and off the streets, she was finally ready for some stability.
You know, I'm doing it for my daughter and my grandsons too.
Catherine has 2 pups she wasn't willing to leave behind. Fortunately, she found a shelter that took all 3 of them in.
And it happened at the last moment. Like, they were saying, no, we don't have a spot. And then at the last moment, they said yes. So I knew that it was a God thing, too. Can you give lovins to the puppy? Can you give lovins to...
She walks her dogs every morning and visits her friends that live near her shelter. She says the transition hasn't been easy, but...
I'm determined and, you know... And they're worth it, and my family's worth it, you know.
You're worth it.
And I'm worth it.
Yeah, you're worth it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Garner says seeing people like Catherine make a positive change is what it's all about.
So being able to see her and get that follow-up from her, you know, just makes this job even better. It makes it even, you know, makes the stories come to fruition, and it encourages us to just continue to keep going.
The city will evaluate the program's success rate in June and decide if the contract will be extended. Alexandra Rangel, KPBS News.
An Italian man stranded for 3 days in the San Diego County mountains has been rescued. The San Diego Sheriff's Department released this video of the rescue. The man, who had been hiking in the Jacumba Mountains, was reported missing on Friday. Deputies say the man had taken shelter in decommissioned rail tunnels and found small pools of water to survive.
Some pretty strong winds as we head through the next few hours. Santa Ana winds really ramping up, and for some of our canyon locations, we're talking about wind gusts easily more than 50 miles per hour. So please keep that in mind as we go through tonight and into tomorrow as those winds ramp up. Warm weekend, though, on tap for us. However, there could be at least a bit of cool air trying to work its way in for next week. Right now, though, we do have that wind concern, high wind warnings in place for most of our mountainous regions here. So please, again, be cautious as we go through not just tonight, but into tomorrow. tomorrow. 47 the low for the city here, and as you look towards Borrego Springs, we're hitting 42. Winds pretty prevalent. There will be some clouds out there, and with high pressure trying to hang on for Friday, that's how we keep the offshore gradient. That high pressure system in the southwest around the Great Basin really keeping things mostly dry, and again keeping that offshore flow. So those Santa Ana winds will be prevalent through tomorrow. We're in the mid-70s for our high for the afternoon. 71 in Oceanside. Mount Laguna coming in at 44 degrees. There will be some of those coastal clouds even as we go into the weekend, because while the mild air sticks around for most of the southwest, we're going to start to see an upper level low come in from the Pacific, and as that happens, it's going to keep a few extra clouds for us. So that's why I say Saturday pretty cloudy for most of us. It doesn't really matter where you are. Temperatures then falling back into the mid-60s here if you look for our coastal regions heading into next week. So that's going to be that slightly cooler trend for us. Inland locations, mid-70s for Saturday, even though we will have quite a few clouds out there. Again, that upper level low feeding us some of those clouds as we try to get rid of those Santa Ana winds, and we will see that cooling trend into next week. Mountain locations actually making it to the lower 50s and mid-50s into next week as we get that upper level low kind of working its way through the southwest and getting rid of that. Santa Ana winds, though, keeping us cool in the 40s. And desert locations, we trend upward into the 70s heading into Monday and Tuesday, awaiting the next cold front. For KPBS News, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Melissa Constanzer.
Olympic athletes representing the USA are on their way to Beijing to take part in the Winter Olympics that kick off on February 4th. Athletes were required to have 2 negative COVID tests before leaving for Beijing. They'll also take a test every day they are there. Last year, 41 athletes tested positive for the virus while in Tokyo, forcing them to withdraw from the competition.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, Justice Breyer officially announces his retirement. What his departure means for the future of the Supreme Court. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
With concerns that standardized exams may be unfair to minority and low-income students, the California State University system is considering doing away with them. The SAT and ACT exams, once crucial for undergraduate admissions, may be permanently eliminated by the Board of Trustees for the 23 university campuses. CSU will take a vote in March on the matter. If approved, CSU will join the University of California in having a so-called test-blind admissions process. Digital Gym Cinema has been closed for 20 months, but starting on Friday, it will hold a preview weekend at its new location at Market and Park. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando visits the new venue, which will be holding in-person events all weekend as a Sundance Film Festival satellite screen.
During the pandemic, Digital Gym Cinema lost the lease to its El Cajon Boulevard venue, but found a new home at UC San Diego's planned Market and Park Extension facility. Last June, I had to wear a hard hat to visit the site and could only imagine what it might look like when finished. But earlier this week, exhibitions manager Moises Esparza revealed what a difference a few months can make.
Yeah, so we're in the new Digital Gym Cinema. It's a totally new vibe and energy. We're in the East Village now, really close to a trolley station. Same type of content, but just a different setting.
A different setting that includes a new projector, better sound, more seats, a bigger screen, a full-fledged concession stand, and more lobby space.
I'm just really excited to share the space, and it's been truly astounding to see the progress that we've made in just a matter of months. I think we're ready to screen movies.
The cinema's ready, but not the entire building, much of which still needs work.
The first level has a grand staircase that's still being worked on. There's a theater space downstairs that's still under construction.
Construction has been slowed by various supply chain issues. The new projector, for example, barely arrived in time for the cinema's preview opening this weekend.
This pandemic has taught us that patience is the most important thing of all. At some point, you just stop obsessing over these little details and just focus on coming up with plan Bs and plan Cs and plan Ds.
So, the exit sign is still too bright, and the seats you sit in may be changed before the official opening in a couple months. But for this weekend, Esparza is excited that the cinema's ready to assume the role of a Sundance Film Festival satellite screen.
We're part of only a small handful of independent cinemas throughout the United States that were selected by Sundance to host these in-person screenings outside of Park City. But Sundance is fully virtual now, So the satellite screens are the only in-person screenings for Sundance.
The big day for the cinema this weekend will be Saturday.
We're going to do a small reception outside. We'll have a photo booth, red carpet, step and repeat. So we're going to try to create kind of like a festival experience at our new venue. The filmmakers love screening their films in front of audiences, and they want that response, that in-person response.
Esparza also loves that communal experience of sharing films in person. He's especially looking forward to screening Sirens with the filmmakers on hand for a post-film discussion. The documentary looks to the first all-female metal band in the Middle East.
The response to our film screenings has been largely positive, and we've sold quite a bit of tickets for the weekend.
There are still tickets for Esparza's favorite of the festival, Mars One. The Brazilian film looks to a lower middle-class family and the young son who dreams of being an astrophysicist.
The film really touched me because it takes this idea of like dreams deferred and the obstacles that present themselves, but how when things don't go right, there's still a path forward. The film left me feeling really, really hopeful and really, really caring about this family.
And if watching films inside a cinema, even with masks, is not for you, then there will be outdoor screenings of Sundance shorts in the adjacent courtyard.
It'll give even casual supporters of the digital gem cinema an idea of what the type of programming and film activations that we're going to conduct here, or that we're going to produce here at our space on a year-round basis.
I'm excited to see the rebirth of this micro cinema, since I've spent 6 years programming special events at the old digital gym venue. And enough San Diego cinephiles share that excitement to have already sold out one screening. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. Like you. Thank you.